You know, I've been spending a lot of time telling people how to get more customers, how to be better at customer service, how to perfect your processes, how to become more efficient and effective. And I come back a year later and I find they've done absolutely nothing. So I thought to myself, maybe I should change this whole scenario. If people have such a desire to lose their customers, to become terrible at customer service, why not give them the right tools? So I designed 6 poisons or 6 ways, 6 foolproof ways in which you can get rid of your customers. If you follow the following ways, then your customers would become irrelevant to you. Why teach people how to get more customers if they simply do not want that? They want to lose their customers? Well, let's teach them how to do that in a most effective and efficient way. If you want to enter the kingdom of irrelevance, all you have to do is follow the following 6 rules, 6 ways of getting rid of your customers. First poison of customer service is internal focus. That's the first thing that you have to master to really get rid of your customers fast. If you don't believe me that this happens in organizations, let me explain through a story. Some time back I was at a government department and I had to go and get a document, a department which name I will not mention here to protect the incompetent. As I walked in, there was this lady at the front desk and she had the glasses on the tip of her nose, and as I walked in, she looked at me like I'm a virus crawling into this building. And at exactly 5 seconds to 10, she puts the close sign in my face. I'm sorry, it's tea time. You have to come back at 10:15. And I'm thinking to myself, she put me through the gates of hell and back to get the simplest thing done. I had to wait there for this very important woman to have her tea. Me, the mere tax-paying citizen. And I wondered about one thing. I wondered if her manager had to descend from the 17th floor to her level, if she would put the close sign in his face. Would she? No, of course she wouldn't. Why? Because you see, her future is dependent on how she treats her superiors, not how she treats the mere tax-paying or profit-paying or the people who sponsor existence, the customer. No, it's about how you treat the people inside the organization. And that's why we start focusing on the inside. All our performance management systems is built to suck up, to become a mini-me of the manager, to impress the people on top. And the funny thing is, the question I always ask is, if I take management away, will the company still exist? Yes, they will, because we could replace your manager in less than an hour. I promise you, there's enough people worldwide wanting that post. Can I replace your customer? No, that becomes a bit more difficult. You see, if you want to know who your customer is, it's very simple. If that person is removed from the equation, how does it affect your existence? The more your existence are affected, the more you can call that person a customer, the more they sponsor your existence. Now, since we're on the topic here of how to lose your customers and we're talking about internal focus, let me give you some tips on how to focus on the inside of the organization. If you've got an internal organization, I can give you some tips on how to really climb the ladder of success. Firstly, it's very important to have lots of files. Yeah, I think that's a very good thing. The words highly confidential should be written on at least 2 of these files. And you should bend the sides of these files so that it looks like you're working with them constantly. And spread them around on your desk so that it looks like you're very busy. And wherever you go, carry your files with you. If you go home in the afternoon, make sure that you got your files and put very important stuff in them. Things that nobody understands, like laws and regulations, so that you look like you're busy with very important stuff. The second rule to my mind would be to send emails at unearthly hours. Finish your work on a Friday at 4 o'clock, but set the alarm clock firstly on Saturday at 2, and you send the first part of your work to your boss. Sunday, 3 o'clock, you send the second part of your work to your boss. He'll think that, whoa, this is a work slave. This person is working on Saturday mornings, 2 o'clock, Sunday mornings, 1 o'clock. Yeah. Belong to a lot of committees and task groups. These things look incredibly good on your CV. Irrelevant of what you do there, it's not important as long as you can say, I belong to this committee and that task group. Never available. That's a major rule. You're not available. You're in a meeting. And if you're a very senior person like a director, well, then you're abroad. You're on a study tour. The buck cannot stop with you. That's bad politics. These are some of the things that you could do to really get rid of your customers quite quickly. Let's look at the second poison of customer service. The second poison of customer service is the perception of security. Yes, that's right. Your company will last forever. You will never go to waste. You will never die. It will continue ad infinito. And especially if you're in a government departments do not die. No. They actually get more money the more incompetent they become. So don't fear your death. You know, that would help you to not focus on the customer and to rather focus on the inside of the organization. Well, here's a news flash. There's no entity in the history of humankind that can prove eternal relevance. Everything stops. There's no political party. There's no government. There's no country. There's no business. There's nothing that has eternal relevance. Go through history and have a look. Everything expires. The great kings and queens of the past were people who could click their fingers and people would attack countries. Today these people cannot even change street names. They've become mascots. People who smile and wave, smile and wave. There's nothing that has eternal relevance. Your company too will die. And the only way that you could stop it from doing that, from dying, is to really look after the people who sponsor, who give the money and the resources for your existence. That could either be the taxpayers in a government department, or your customers in a private sector organization, or if you're a professional organization, clients, or if you're a non-profit organization, the people who give money for your projects. But the reality is that death is the only certainty. Your company will die. The third law of horrific customer service is rewarding incompetence. That's right, the more incompetent you become, the more resources you get. Let me explain through another story. I once met this guy by the name of Joe. Now, Joe's job was very easy. Joe's job was to distribute this toilet paper. You see, if you go to the toilet and you have toilet paper, Joe's a very effective person. He's an effective employee. He's doing his job. You go, the toilet paper is there. The problem is, you see that if Joe continues doing this in an effective way, he stays a clerk for the rest of his life. No, you see, Joe must stop doing it effectively. Joe needs to create an empire. It's not about you getting the toilet paper. In fact, it should be difficult for you to get the toilet paper. Yes, that's right. Now, before you get this, you've got to fill in Form Gov 77293B. That's in government organizations. If it's a big private organization, then you fill in Form T444578B in triplicate, and that gets sent to the authorization office where 15 clerks would sign this off, and that gets sent to the director's office, but he can't sign it because he's in a meeting or on a study tour, which means you don't get your toilet paper. And you see what happens is by the end of the year, Joe comes and he says, hey, look at all my administration. I can't do this alone. I need PA, secretary, staff, lots of them. I need people to help me distribute this toilet paper. And we give him staff. A year later, Joe comes back and he says, I can't be a clerk. I need to be the director of toilet paper. Look at all my staff. A year later, he comes back and he says, hey, look at all my staff. I need a toilet paper head office. And his whole job and his empire is based on functional incompetence. You see, the more incompetent Joe becomes, the more difficult it is for you to get the toilet paper, the greater his empire grows. I learned this many years back as a young policeman. I was working in the south coast of South Africa, and I was about 19 years old, young policeman. I drove once, there was a bus accident, the bus was off the road, there were people who were dead, there were people who were alive, and there were people who were okay. I thought, well, as a good policeman, let me take the injured people to hospital. The people who's fine and alive and healthy, they're okay, they must just wait there. We'll get to them. The dead people, there's nothing I can do about that. So I took the injured people to hospital. Bus was off the road, traffic was flowing, no problem. So I take the people to hospital, I come back, there's a traffic jam. For about 5 kilometers, I wonder, oh gosh, what now? Why is there such a traffic jam here? I go there, guess what I find? I find the traffic department regulating a traffic jam which they caused. They put out the cones, there was no traffic jam, they put out the cones, they create the traffic jam, then they regulate the traffic jam. Does this sound familiar? Is this what happens in your organization? Yes, it is absolutely what happens. You see, everybody has work. And everybody can explain their work. That doesn't mean that their work is meaningful. It doesn't mean that their work is process-based. Keep on rewarding that incompetence and you'll chase your customers away quicker than you think. The fourth law of really pissing off your customers is to reward complication. Yes, that's right. The more complicated it gets, the more important you become on the inside of the organization, and the less the customer understands you. And guess what? You know what? Customers do not care about your complications. Customers do not care about your complexities. I remember a time back I wanted to hang a portrait on my wall, So I went to the local department store and I wanted a screw to, so that I can hang my portrait up. And then this very trained, overtrained salesperson gets very technical with me. He wants to know whether it's a double thread, a single thread, 3mm screw for. I have no interest. I don't care. I'm not, these are things that simply are irrelevant to me. But, seems to impress him and his fellow salespeople. All he had to ask me is, how heavy is my portrait and where do I want to hang this, and then give me a screw and I'm on my way, because going to your department store is not the most important thing in my day. Complicating things gives people a reason of existence. That's why they are there, because you don't understand what the hell they're doing. Now, the IT people are brilliant examples of this. I love the IT guy. I'm ticking away on my keyboard here and my screen goes blank. So what do? I phone the IT guy. The IT guy comes there and he's got this melodramatic look on his face and he looks at your keyboard and he says, uh-oh. Uh-oh, what? Your system's down. No joke, Sherlock Holmes. Is that why I can't see my screen? And then he starts typing away on my keyboard and he comes back with this very understandable explanation. He says to me, well, it seems like you've corrupted a DLL file. We'll have to enter your system and ping your domain. Ping my what? If you said that you were going to ping my domain 10 years ago, I would go and lodge a complaint of sexual harassment at the local police station. Why is my IT guy talking in a language which I simply don't understand? You see, he does that because the more he complicates things, the more you need him. Who do you have to phone? You've got to phone the IT guy. Why? Because you don't know what the hell he says, what he's talking about. And if you knew that, then you wouldn't need him. So his reason of existence is based on the fact that he complicates things. We all identify these warriors of complication at our workplace. You can see a warrior of complication by miles. It's people who knows rules and regulations off by heart. Oh, I'm sorry, Regulation 55 2B 1FKL9 clearly states that you cannot drive an official vehicle with brown shoes. What do you mean brown? What are you talking about? I don't know, that's what the regulation says. Yes, we all complicate things, academics, mechanics, professional people, lawyers, because you see, if they don't, then you won't need them. The fifth law of organizational extinction is not to provide any reason for customer delight. This happens when your employees at the front desk sees absolutely no purpose in satisfying their customers. Why should they? Because their performance appraisal system, the one with your stupid Patterson scale, where they never could get a 5 because nobody walks on water, is measured against how they treat the people inside the organization, not how they treat the people outside the organization. So it's about how I treat my manager, how my manager feels about me, how I communicate to my peers and my seniors and my juniors, not about how I communicate to the customer. Now let me tell you this, if you're a front desk clerk, then I would say that more than 95% of your performance appraisal should be how you treat your customers. They should be the ones who tell us how your work is, not people inside the organization. Why? Because the people inside the organization are not paying your salary. It's the customers out there who do. So if we want to provide a reason for customer delight, then we need to start rewarding customer delight. We need to start putting money where our mouths are. We need to start rewarding the people at the front desk who produce the bottom line, because it's your front line who produces the bottom line. The last of these foolproof ways on how to get rid of your customers is to give your employees authority, but not power. You see, if you give people authority without power, you demoralize them. In other words, I'm called the front clerk executive or the customer executive, but I can't make the slightest decision. I mean, if you ask me something, I've got to refer you to management, or I have to refer you to this department, or you have to go to the blue office and fill in the pink form, or go to the yellow office and get the orange form. You know, I can't do it for you. So we've got all these customer service departments. When they answer the phone, they tell you, "Good day, sir, how can I provide you with an excellent service?" Or "Good day, sir, how can I provide you with customer delight?" Or the latest trend now is to give fancy titles to people. You know, I'm not the human resource manager, I'm the human resource or the human capital investment director. But this person can't do anything. So giving people authority without power means that you have the authority as a front desk clerk, but you have no power whatsoever. A sure recipe for demoralization. Of course, if you turn it around, if you say you've got power without authority, we call it dictatorship. So often you have these people with power without authority, the dictators managing the people with authority without power, the demoralized. That's how you could get rid of your customers. 6 foolproof ways. Tried and tested. If you don't believe me, implement them. Start encouraging them tomorrow in your organization. And who knows, within 6 months, you could be irrelevant.